Let's make some crab stew. It's Tootsie Tuesday and we are making some crab stew. There's only 3 of us eating tonight, so I'm cutting this recipe in half, but I will post the recipe at the end. So if you want to make a full batch or if you're feeding more, absolutely go with it. And also, I could only find a pound of crab. So usually I use 2 pounds or more. We like a lot of crab. This is not going to be a budget friendly type of meal. We only usually eat crab stew a couple times a year. Seriously, like this is what we eat on Christmas Day every year. Basically use the same recipe as Paula Deen's brother. It's Uncle Bubba, I think is what his name was. I use basically the same things minus a couple ingredients. I change a couple things up because I don't have access to it. So let's get started. We're going to start by melting a half a stick of butter. Once your butter is melted, you'll add in your celery. Make sure this is chopped very finely or minced. And remember, I'm halving this recipe, so that's a half a stalk of celery. Then this is a couple tablespoons of onion, very finely chopped or minced. Okay, I have to show you my little trick while we're letting those vegetables soften. So you're just going to let them cook until they're very translucent, because this is not the star of the show, okay? Your crab is. So you don't want this overpowering. You do not want to taste the onion and celery or have clumps of it. But his recipe calls for a seafood bouillon. You can't find that where I live. And I always tell myself that I am going to order some. And then when I go to make it, I don't have time for that or to wait on it. So let me tell you what I found that works, okay? I promise it tastes good. This is a roasted garlic bouillon, okay? I'm taking a tablespoon. If you're making the larger recipe, you'll do 2, okay? All right. Then once I get that in there, I'm going to use this seafood seasoning, this Red Lobster. Just put how much ever you want, and I'm going to mix that in with my bouillon. And then I've got me a little seafood bouillon that I'm going to put in there. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, you know? But I promise it turns out perfect. It's so good. Once the onion and celery is translucent and softened, you're going to add in your flour. I'm using 6 tablespoons. So just sprinkle that. You're going to let this cook for like 8 to 10 minutes. You want the flour taste to cook out. Mix this around and make sure there's no clumps in there. Pretty much whisk this the whole time that I'm letting it cook through. We're going to start adding our other ingredients, our homemade seafood bouillon. To start with, we'll just add that in. Get that good and mixed in. We're going to add in a tablespoon of cooking sherry. Get that good and mixed. I'm going to add in 2 cups of whole milk. And I pour a little bit and kind of mix it around because you don't want clumps to form. You want this to be smooth. I keep this at a steady whisk, and then I'm going to add in a cup of half and half. I'm going to add in 32 ounces of heavy whipping cream. Once you've added in your milks and your cream and half, you're going to let this cook on like medium-high heat, and you'll feel it starting to thicken some, but you want to bring this to a boil, and then we'll cut it on low and put in our crab meat. I use the lump crab meat. These 2 little containers, 8 ounces each, was $35. So, like I said, not cheap to make, but it's so good. It's so yummy, and it's so worth it. And we like a lot of crab in ours. And once you see that it's starting to come to a boil, you can cut it down to low. And we're going to go ahead and dump in our meat. Once we've got our crab added in, I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. Oh, that was a lot of pepper. A little bit more of the seafood seasoning. And we like to eat our crab stew with saltines, and this is all I could find. I swear I thought I had some, and I didn't get any, so we're going to be fighting over this a little bit. I already tasted it, and it is amazing. And with every bite, you get crab. So I'm going to post the full recipe, so if you want to make, you know, like a larger batch of this, just know that this is one that you get crab in every bite. And if you try it, I hope you love it as much as we do. It's one of our favorites, and it's such a good, rich, comforting, oh, it's just a really good stew.